Event freelancers, welcome to your new community, connecting you to your next project. Get connected. Sign up now. It's free.
So the next session is titled My First Steps in the Industry, and it's hosted by Priya and Narain from Event First Steps. Event First Steps is a not-for-profit initiative set up by Priya, Eleanor Clowes and Caitlin Kobrak in 2014 in response to their experience of the huge gap between what is taught and what it's like to actually work in the events industry. They've since hosted events around London and worked with universities across the country to help industry newcomers of all ages and abilities to build their networks, learn from industry heavyweights and forge their own career path. Coming into the industry for the first time is an eye-opening experience, as I'm sure we all know. So to understand exactly how that feels, they've invited 3 professionals who've experienced this, and they will share their experiences and talk about how reality differs from the textbook. This is a pre-recorded session, so we'll hand over to Event First Steps.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into our session. I'm Priya. I'm one of the co-founders of Event First Steps, which was formed when we discovered through our own personal experiences the gap between what is taught and what it's like to actually work in the events industry. We help industry newcomers of all ages and abilities to build their networks, learn from industry heavyweights and forge their own career paths. During this session, we'll be talking to 3 amazing first steppers about their own experiences of them taking their first steps in the industry. So we have Jordan Lewis-Pryde, who graduated in tourism and events management from the University of Westminster in 2016. She works as an event manager for Ministry of Sound. Grace Nelson, who is currently on furlough from her role as an events and marketing coordinator. She graduated from Manchester Metropolitan University in 2019. And lastly, we have our most recent graduate from the University of Hertfordshire, Benedicta Asante. She's a venue sourcing specialist from American Express Global Business Travel. So if I could just ask each of you to introduce yourselves. If I can start with Jordan, please.
Hi, yeah, so like Priya said, I'm Jordan. I graduated in 2016, and since then I have been working for Ministry of Sound, which has now become Ministry Venues. So we have become, from a venue, we've become a venue consortium. So we have grown by 4 venues in the last 4 years. So yeah, I've worked there for 4 years and loved every second.
Amazing. And Grace?
Yeah, so thanks for the lovely introduction, Priya. My name's Grace and I currently work for a company called Investors and People in London, and I'm the events and marketing coordinator for them. I've only been with them since the beginning of the year, graduated last summer, and what really got me in the event industry was the placement opportunity that I did abroad in the United States. So, yeah,
then lastly, Benedicta, over to you.
Hi Priya, so I'm Benedicta, I'm 24 years old, I've just graduated from the University of Hertfordshire. I'm currently on maternity leave from American Express Global Business Travel. I've been there since last June, and yeah, that's me.
Cool, amazing, lovely to meet you all. I would like to kick off the session by asking each of you what you actually enjoyed from your events management degree. So who would like to go first? Anyone? I'm going to pick on you. Benedicta, seeing as you're the most recent graduate.
I enjoyed the fact that it was very broad. So the degree covered a lot of aspects of different types of events from the first year through to the final year. And I also enjoyed that our lecturers were passionate about the industry as well. So it wasn't as if to say we were being taught by people who didn't really know what they were speaking about.
Nice. And would you agree, Jordan? Like what?
Oh yeah, completely.
What the things you enjoyed?
It's definitely, we're really fortunate to have such good courses now where it just covers so many topics. And like you said, Benedicta, it is led by, industry veterans and, people that are more than academia, and they're, can base themselves on experience and give you sort of real-time contemporary examples. I know a lot of lecturers actually work in events companies as well as lecturing, because we have a lot of guest speakers, and I like that our courses are just open to being a lot more relatable to our industry and are not just basing things off textbooks and of professors that have been taught before. So yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's brilliant to have passionate lecturers. And I think personally for me, I started university in 2015. And then you can just see in general, social media has grown in that time, the event industry's grown. So I think what's brilliant is our courses and our lecturers adapt to the changes in the industry. But for me, the one thing I loved about my course was the opportunity of taking a placement. And I think, especially in our industry, I think it's necessary to have great experience under your belt before graduation. And so when you go into the real world, you know exactly kind of, what platform you're on, what first step you need, how to grow your career. So for my university, for my course, we offered a placement opportunity. And I think that really helped a lot of people. And it really showed that they really wanted to make sure that you had a great opportunity after graduation in the event worlds as well.
Yeah, I agree, Grace. I feel like
when
you're surrounded by all these people in your course who actually really want to be there and to get that experience, for them to sort of create that foundation for you and that support, I think it's really important. And I think they do that really well.
Definitely.
Yeah, our industry is definitely full of great people. So sort of moving on from that then, from what you were taught in the actual classroom, what have your experiences been of the differences that you have faced? So what has been different from maybe an example from what you've been taught and into the actual industry?
I would say one thing that's missing would be the discussion about softwares and technologies that are actually out there. We do take like a media, at my university, we took a media course module. And although we do the media side, like design and things like that, we're not actually taught about the type of event softwares that are out there and things that are available for us to use. And then also, I would say, I don't really know if it's actually relevant to events, but I think I would have loved to learn something like CAD, or like designing a floor plan or things like that. That's just something that I don't know if everybody would have thought, I would love to do that. But on my part, I think that's something that is relevant to actually in the industry, knowing what a floor plan should look like. And we're not actually taught that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the most challenging thing was working for a company that was much bigger than just events. And so, you go in there with thinking that, you've got this events job and it's all about the events and you're ready. And then you come into a company that does more than just events. You sort of have to be able to position yourself, that you respect the events and you respect that your industry is major. But trying to get that across to other people in a company that might not see it as, the best thing in the world, like we all do. It's quite hard to find that balance between getting the respect in the work environment, doing what you love, and showing, other people in the company that what you're doing is really important work.
I would say, personally, I think no matter how well that your universities prepare you for the real world and events, and they can give you as many volunteering opportunities, placement, great networking opportunities as well, I think you're never really going to be able to predict what could happen on the event day. Anything could happen, and you're not taught that. And you could, I think, in the classroom, you're taught obviously the reality and what maybe to expect, but it isn't until you get on site that you are fully in the zone and you think, right, these are all the different things you have to think about, you have to prepare for, you have to think ahead of. So I think it's all about just making sure you have that dynamic in schools and in the educational system with the events. You know, you can be taught all the classroom and textbook stuff, but it's really important you get those students out there to really experience what it's like, because you know, you could get full marks in all your assignments, but you might not actually be good on site. You might not know how to interact and be with people. So I think it's good to have a balance of both.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think
definitely, for sure,
that academia, you know, is important to see, you know, what studies and what we've learned. It's also really important to get that experience. I think both of those come really hand in hand.
Definitely. I agree.
So, I mean, that leads quite nicely into the challenges. So you're all relatively new to the industry. So if any, you may not have experienced any, but what challenges have you faced?
I think, like I said before, with just having to battle through a company to sort of show that what your work is really important. I think that's, like, for me, it just has been the hardest thing to get across. And once you start making the money, they start sitting up and paying attention. But until that point, it's quite a long slog.
I would agree with that, and also I would say age is something, because we come into, I don't know if you've all experienced this, but we come into contact with professionals who have come with their, I've been in the industry for 15 years, I have all this experience, you know, and I'm here like, I also have years of experience, but they're not really willing to hear what you've done, just because, you're so young, how would you possibly have done this? And all those questions start to arise. And I think I've said this before, but the industry isn't as accommodating to younger people as maybe other industries are. And that's something that I would say is quite challenging. And I guess I'm on a roll to break that mold.
Excellent. I felt something quite similar, because I came into the industry quite later on in life, having already had a career, and meeting people who are my age or in my age group already have years of experience behind them, and then there's me coming in going, hi everybody. Grace, what did you want to add to that?
I wanted to agree with Benedicta's point. When coronavirus really became obviously quite serious and it was impacting people's everyday lives, you know, you see a lot of content on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. People are really making the use of their time. But for me, I never really saw a lot of content which was directly addressed to graduates. And it wasn't only until recently, when graduates have got their results, that I really personally thought, wow, there wasn't a lot of content to encourage people to their first steps in the industry. And even though I graduated in 2019, I only started my first graduate job in January this year. So for me, I kind of thought, there's a lot of support, obviously, with mental health and being made furloughed and how to continue, which is all great, but there wasn't a lot of content for graduates. So I really like that point. And I've started my own blog, and I've been in communication with people, and it's really interesting. I personally want to help graduates, not just from my own university, but from all over the country. And obviously it's such a hard time, and that really feeds into, for me, coronavirus has been my massive challenge coming into the industry, because I only started in January, and then I was only really working for 3 months before furlough, so I didn't really get the opportunity of the experiences that I had planned for the year. So, but I also think that furlough has really opened a lot of doors for the event industry, and it's really key to stay active. And even though you're not working every day as usual, that won't stop us. You still want to learn and interact and network and help graduates. And I've realized things that I wish I did know, and I'm able to help graduates now be like, okay, you should do this, do that, because I wish I didn't, and now it's helped me out. So I would say coronavirus for me has been my biggest challenge.
I think what's really important this time is that it has given people quite a lot of time. And so I feel like as a community, hashtag events profs, there's so much conversation about, crisis management. And I've seen, been part of so many seminars over the course of these months that, we really are coming out for each other and supporting each other and trying to offer advice as well, like trying to get that advice to the people that need it, that might be struggling. So I feel like as a industry, we've really like pulled together at this time for each other.
I really agree with that. And I feel like during this time, a lot of walls have been broken down, and I feel like nobody is inaccessible, which it may have felt before. And I feel like it's a time for young people who are coming into the industry to be like, oh, I want this person to mentor me. Don't feel like you can't message this person because that wall has now come down. Everyone is available, not necessarily available, but they're willing to hear what others now have to say. And even myself, when someone approaches me like, oh, could you help me with this and that? I'm like more willing to make myself available for them now.
100%.
I completely agree with all of you. The whole concept of more time, you will find that people are more willing to help. So yeah, reach out. I mean, absolutely. Cool. I mean, I'm just conscious of time. We've got a couple more minutes left. So I kind of want to just sort of end the session by asking each of you to give me an example or tell me something that you wish you had known before coming into the industry.
I think for me, I'd love to have told myself to not sweat the small stuff. When you come out of uni, you're raring to go and you're raring to continue learning, because obviously we just want that experience. But through learning, it doesn't have to be negative. If there is something that doesn't quite go right, or there's some really good things that go right, you have to take it all as an education and not as a personal, problem. So I just think for me, I just grab hold of myself and say, it's okay. What can you take from this? What can you learn from this? And how can we move forward? And I think a lot of people stress unnecessarily. And I know now we've had this situation, this, pandemic. I think the word stress, doesn't seem like it should be coming back when we all go back,
Good point.
That was great. I personally would say I wish I understood the value of networking, because like I said, being, having all this extra time in your hands, you realize how important it is and actually how lovely it is to feel part of a community. And I wish when I started in the industry, just even at the beginning of the year, I wish I already had that base to stand on and have those communications and those people to reach out to for advice. So I'm really fortunate and feel lucky that I've had use this time to create that base, which I wish I had at the beginning. But I think that's really important, and it's the little things that can really go far.
I will end on, I guess, one thing that I would say is mentorship. I feel like that cuts out a lot of, as Jordan said, the negatives. Having someone that you can actually speak to that isn't your age or isn't your friend that can give you kind of clear-cut advice. And also having mentorship gets you further. And even myself helping some of the girls that I have helped in this short period of time, I've seen that they've achieved a lot more. And I would always recommend mentorship if you can find some.
No. Very good points. I've had a mentor. I've been part of a mentoring program, so I completely agree. I just like to add to that as well. Always like there's so many paths that you can go in the industry, and I think for me, it's never to compare your success to somebody else, because everyone is always on their own journeys anyway. And I think just if you have set goals and you achieve your goals, you should be measuring your success on yourself as opposed to other other people. So yeah, really good points there. I think we're coming to the end now. So I just really want to say thank you so much to Benedicta, Grace, and Jordan for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Priya.
No, you're very welcome. Great conversation. I really enjoyed it. If any of the viewers have any questions for any of our panelists or for Event First Steps, please reach out to us at Event First Steps, and we'll be happy to pass them on and get back to you. So I just want to wish you great rest of the day. Enjoy the rest of the summit, and thank you very much. Bye.
Event freelancers, welcome to your new community, connecting you to your next project. Get connected. Sign up now. It's free.